Shalom, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Akiva here. Right before Shabbat, I want to share a little thought with you about this week's Torah portion. We're right after Pesach, which is always a special time because the Shabbat right after Pesach, as is the case with the Shabbat after any holiday, right, still contains the energy of that holiday, of that Chag. Right, so still in this Shabbat, we're still tasting the taste of Geulah, redemption, of Pesach, of the Matzah, right, of Seder night even, right? The whole week is somehow contained still in this Shabbat, so we get to kind of relive it, re-experience it, but maybe even more than that, elevate it even higher. This week's Torah portion is called Parshat Shmini. Right? We know that Shmini means 8, right? It's on the simple level. It's the 8th day after the 7 days of inauguration, right, that happened before the Mishkan fully went into effect. We've been learning about the Mishkan, this traveling sanctuary for the Jews in the Midbar, in the desert. You know, the whole process of collecting the resources and building it, and it finally got built, and now they did these 7 days of basically like, inaugurating the Mishkan. And now we hit the 8th day. And the 8th day, right, service, work, what goes on in the Mishkan will begin. And we know in Judaism that 8 has a very special meaning. 8 is a number that goes beyond. Right? 7 has to do with nature, right? With the 7 directions, east, west, north, and south, up and down and inside. 7 and 8 already goes beyond this world. 8 symbolizes going me'ever, right? Beyond. We see this in the custom of Brit Milah, of circumcision, happens on the 8th day. We see this in the mitzvah of bringing a korban, of a sacrifice of an animal in the temple, right? Can't be before the 8th day. Has to be at least on the 8th day to have like this full cycle of 7 in the world. And the 8th day, which is already now beyond, right now it can be brought as a korban, as a sacrifice. Right? We see Hanukkah, of course, 8 days, which is just beyond in the fact that there was this great miracle that happened on Hanukkah. Right? So we're now hitting an entire Torah portion, which is named right after this number 8. What does it teach us? One idea, right, again talking about the Mishkan, is that the Mishkan is about going beyond. It's about taking physicality and using it in a spiritual way to connect beyond we normally would be able to. Right? It's about living this world in a beyond kind of way. And not just a regular routine, this is what I do every day, this is what I did yesterday, so I'll do it again today. It's about going beyond, seeing beyond what reality seems to be, right? And living life, to a level that's much higher, right, than our eyes might perceive. Connected to this idea as well, right? We see like we're going to but Yom Shmini, right? On the 8th day, well, we just had another cycle of 7, that was Pesach, right? On some level, this Shabbat is not like the 8th day, so to speak, of Pesach. After a week, after 7 days of Pesach, now we're like taking all that energy and we're going beyond with it, right? We're going beyond, right? Shmini, in this week's Torah portion, again, is talking about now after these 7 days of inauguration, and we learn from Rashi that the 8th day, this 8th day, fell on the first day of the month of Nisan, right? Which makes it Rosh Chodesh, but also makes it the first day of the year, right? In terms of how we count the months. It's the first month, the first day. It's the very, very beginning. The Mishkan is beginning to go into action, so to speak. Its function is starting on the first day of the first month, right? Beginnings, new beginnings, right? Reb Shlomo Karlebach says that, we learn the Torah at the very beginning. It says, Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim et haaretz, right? And we usually translate it like, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. But he can translate it a little different way. He says, Bereshit, right? Bara Elokim et hashamayim et haaretz, right? With beginnings, God created the heavens and the earth. With this idea of beginnings, that we can always start over again. And that we're intended, we're encouraged, we're motivated to start over again. Right? We said this before, but I lived a certain way yesterday. Wow, what's it going to be like today? Right? The Bavitcher Rebbe said that it's a really wild idea. But if we serve God today, the same way we served God yesterday, it's mamish like avodah zarah. It's mamish like idol worship. Right? Every day is a whole new reality. And going back to this idea of Reb Shlomo is that we can always latchim mechadash. We can always start from new again. Right? It doesn't mean that we always have to, every single aspect of ourselves. There's things, of course, that we want to keep, that we want to bring with us. But the things that we don't, we can leave them behind. Right? And even with the good things, we can start again, as if we've never experienced the world in the first place. right? So I take the mitzvah of tefillin, I put on tefillin every single day, but I can approach today or tomorrow or the next day as if it's the first time. Everything as it's the first time, right? We know that something so sweet about something being the first time. We have the ability, even though intellectually it might seem so hard, we have that ability to bring that, to infuse every single day of our lives with that awareness, with that focus, with that intention, and with that reality, right? Shmini, 8, going beyond. One last thought on that is that Shmini also happens after Shabbat, right? 7 days of the week, 7th day of Shabbat, and boom, Shmini is really the Rishon. So infused in Shmini is really in the cycle that we understand of time of 7 is really already infused into it Yom Rishon, right? The first day, Latchil again, to begin again. Right? And at the very end of Pesach, the 7th day of Pesach, we were focusing on Kiryat Yam Suf, like the splitting of the sea, the unbelievable miracle of the sea splitting, the Jews going through. There's all these beautiful Torahs, how the essence of this miracle is completely hitchatzut. Right? Reb Shlomo goes on and on about this unbelievable event that took place at the sea, which is a sea, it's water, it covers the land. In that moment, when it needed to, was able to go beyond itself and be something that it's not. Right? Reb Shlomo says about Pesach, right, what's the highest state of freedom? Right, to be anyone you want to be anything you need to be. Right, for somebody else, so often, right, I need to be something else. I need to change myself a million times sometimes in order to bring peace between me and other people, right, and to bring peace to the world. Right, not to say that we're not being true to ourselves or being someone foreign, but lihitchadesh, right, to renew, to find new aspects of ourselves, new ways of being, new ways that I can be, right, new levels of myself. And all these things are intertwining, Yom Shmini and Yom Rishon and Pesach and Shabbos and all these different things to teach us this unbelievable teaching of hitchatzut, right, of renewal, of starting all over again. No matter what happened yesterday, today is today. Rabbi Nachman says that we have a special yitzhar, we have a special evil inclination, that after we do something, okay, so maybe we shouldn't have done. Right, okay, we think about it, we regret it, we're like, okay, I shouldn't have done it, I don't want to do it again, I'm going to improve myself, I'm going forward in a better way. Then especially Yitzhar comes and says, what? Look what you just did. How can you go on, after doing that? And it tries to keep you down. The regret, the guilt almost, of this Jewish guilt that we're so famous for, is really like an aspect of our Yitzhar. We're supposed to free ourselves after Pesach of getting rid of all the chametz and clearing our vessels to really be, able to receive, right, divine light and bring that into the world through ourselves. Right? This idea of guilt or hanging on to the past is mamish chametz. Right? Mamish chametz. We deal with it, we move on. Rabbi Nachman says that, tshuva, doing repentance, is like cleaning dishes. If I have a dirty, pot after cooking a meal and I clean it right away, it's super easy to do. Right? But if I let it linger and let it sit in the sink, until the next day, it gets all hard, right? And it's really super difficult, right, to clean. Right, so we do our tshuva, we clean ourselves right after whatever we've done, right, and we move on. And we don't chain ourselves to the past. Right? We be present in the moment to go forward strongly and pleasantly and happily into the future. I want to bless all of us, you and me together, that really, really, every week, every day, every month, every year, we should be able to connect to these different points of hitchatzut, of renewal, right, and connect ourselves may ever beyond to this idea, this aspect of Yom Shmini, of the 8th day. Right, we can bring that into our lives whenever we want. Right, to always live in this world beyond, not to be stuck in the normal routine that we give ourselves and the world gives ourselves, right? And even the things that we do from day to day, to infuse that with newness as well. Sending lots of love and blessing from the Holy Land of Israel. Shabbat Shalom.